Good morning. Welcome to the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley Board of Directors meeting. I ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Becky, I ask if you determine the quorum.
Certainly. Board Member DeLone.
Present.
Thank you. Board Member Ward.
Present.
Board Member Macias is absent. Board Member Flores is absent. Board Member Sanchez.
Present.
Board Member Gandara.
Here.
Board Member Hernandez.
Here.
Chair Coran.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you. Next up, I'd hear any changes or updates to the agenda or a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Gandara, seconded by Board Member Sanchez. Any edits, comments? Hearing none. Becky, please.
Board Member Ward.
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Board Member Gandara.
Yes.
Board Member Hernandez.
Yes.
Chair Coran.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up, I'll give you a few minutes to check out the minutes from our December board meeting. I think that Clint won the ugly sweater contest, and this isn't in the minutes, but we'll, make a friendly amendment in our heads to remind ourselves that Clint is the reigning champion of the ugly sweater contest. And other than that, I would entertain a motion to approve or hear any edits.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
Thank you.
Second. Gandara.
Moved by Board Member Sanchez, seconded by Board Member Gandara. Any other notes? Hearing none. Becky, please. Thank you.
Board Member Ward.
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Board Member Gandara.
Yes.
Board Member Hernandez.
Abstain.
Thank you. Chair Coran.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next up, we'll hear from Michelle Correa. I'm glad that you please come on up from the Cat's Meow. State your name officially for the record, and I think that your presentation is the first one. So thank you, Bernice. It's great to see you. Good morning, Michelle.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Seems like I just saw y'all like a month ago. Hope everyone had a good holiday. Okay. Refresh my memory on how to make this big.
So it's a PDF, it's not a slideshow.
Oh, okay.
Just close this right here.
Okay. Cool. Thanks,
There you
guys. Appreciate that.
And then just scroll down.
Okay. So I'm here to give a presentation about the Cat's Meow Resource and Adoption Center. This is going to be just a very quick little slideshow. We opened our doors in October of 2014. We actually started making preparations to open this facility in the late fall of 2013. At that time, Jake Sims was actively involved with this organization, and as many of you may know, he was a realtor, and he had secured this piece of property, which we still are at today. We wanted something that had fencing and was somewhat secure, since these animals were going to be unattended for a portion of each day. And Jake did a great job in finding this property for us. Took us a little while to kind of get it into shape. It used to be the Green Thumb Nursery on Mesquite Street, so some renovations had to be done. But once that happened, we moved in and immediately started taking kitties in, and we haven't stopped. This is just a little picture of what it looked like. That hasn't changed a whole lot. If you walk in today, it looks pretty much that way. We do currently have about 80 cats in residence. About half are youngsters, and the other half are older kitties. Our initial focus was on older and special need cats, But when COVID came, everything kind of changed, and there were a lot of kittens that needed help. And so we, since then, continue to take in a lot of kittens, as many as we can possibly manage. And all of our adoptable kitties are on our Pet Finder site. We actually have a volunteer who used to volunteer with us physically, but she moved to Aztec, and she still maintains our social media, thank goodness, from a distance, and she does a great job. So those sites, the Pet Finder and our Facebook, are pretty much updated on a daily basis. Oh, did it again, dang it. Oh, okay. We have a lot of great volunteers. Takes a lot of folks to clean these litter boxes and keep these cats happy and healthy. We have 2 shifts. Our first shift is from 10 to 1, and then our afternoon shift, which isn't quite as physical. The morning shift does a lot of the cleaning. The afternoon shift does special projects. We are open 4 days a week in the afternoons, and so we have visitors from 1 to 4 on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and those days can be fairly busy. So the afternoon volunteers on those days take care of the visitors, facilitate adoptions, things of that nature. It's a little bit longer shift because we actually close our doors at 4, but then the cats have to be fed, litter boxes have to be re-scooped. So if you're lucky, you get out of there about 5:30 if you're on an afternoon shift. And all of our shifts generally have somewhere between 3 and 4 volunteers. We're very, very lucky. We have wonderful volunteers. Nobody at our organization gets a dime. It's an all volunteer organization. With COVID and with the volume of animals coming in that needed vetting, we reached out to Dr. Starr of Paws and Hooves in El Paso, and we started doing clinics with her, doing somewhere around 35 to 40 cats a month. The number 3,000 is actually a little bit misleading because that includes when we were working with Big Kitty Fix. Ann Martman and I were involved with the No Kill Coalition. We were actively involved in Big Kitty Fix, and so that number is those cats plus the cats that we have done, plus about another 470 that we did last year. So around 3,500 cats between Big Kitty Fix and Cats Meow have been spayed or neutered. Probably during the COVID period between August and December 2020 to 2023, about 60% of the kitties that we vetted were our in-house cats. We gave the remaining slots to community. We didn't give them, they paid a copay if they were able to help us manage those expenses because these clinics cost somewhere around $2,600 a piece. And so we would help people if we could, but if they were able to help us, we worked together and we were able to help them get their cats fixed, including some TNR cats. Last year we found homes for almost 500 cats and kittens. That doesn't include, we did a few transports into Colorado, and so if you take that into account, we actually did exceed 500 as far as cats and kittens going into new, good homes. This isn't cheap. Rescue work is very expensive. Our expenses last year were over $250,000, as was the previous year. We have wonderful donors. We do a few fundraisers, and we manage to squeak by every year. So we feel very fortunate to be able to continue to do this work. We did raise our adoption fees this year for the first time since we opened. We now charge $70 for a fully vetted cat. Just with their cost of everything going up, we needed to raise our fees just a little bit. We do offer a return guarantee on our cats, whether it's a week or 5 years from the time somebody adopts from us. If things aren't working out or life changes, which we know that happens, and these cats need to come back, we require that they come back to us. That's part of the contract, and we take them back and find them another home. There's been a few cases where we've actually repossessed a few cats when we found out that they were not abiding by our contract. So we're pretty serious about making sure that our cats are cared for. That's just a picture of our little desert garden. One of our volunteers, Ron, sort of built this thing from the ground up, and he tends it and loves it, and we all enjoy it. So we appreciate his hard work and appreciate everybody's hard work at Cats Meow. It really does take a village to take care of these animals, and we hope you all will come by and see us one of these days. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much, Michelle. Are there any questions from the board?
Madam
Board
Chair.
Member Sanchez and then Board Member Candela, please.
And not just not a question as much as a comment. And I know my family was lucky enough that we adopted a kitten from you all last year. And so she's running wild through the house and she was very appreciative of having a Christmas tree this year.
Oh,
and
yes.
So,
Cats love Christmas trees.
but
They
she's
love to help you undecorate them.
Oh, there's a few less ornaments to put
Yes.
away this year. So,
Yes.
yeah, no, she's it's been great, and we've appreciated. I know when they came, it was a surprise for me for my birthday, and so, so my family got to visit the facility and really enjoyed it. So,
Thank you so much.
but thank you for all you do in the community.
Well, we appreciate folks like you. We couldn't do it without good volunteers, good adopters, donors. It really does take a lot of moving parts to keep it moving. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Candela, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. I don't have quite the story as Board Member Sanchez has. I'm allergic to cats, unfortunately, but I so appreciate you coming and participating and all the work. As you know, in the city of Las Cruces, we've had some issues with our feral cat population and a troubling start to our TNR program, but I think we got it off the ground and people are starting, I think the program is starting to gain traction.
Yes, we get a lot of calls from people who are very interested in doing TNR, and so
Yes.
it's just a matter of getting those vet resources together to make that happen where it's more affordable.
Yes, absolutely. And so I know I was in a evening meeting with Jardín de los Niños for their Flourishing Families program, and one of the mentees works in managing mobile home parks. And one of the things that she brought up as issues was the problems with feral cats running around and just animals in general. And so we spoke of the programming and all the advocacy work that is happening around that. And so what sort of programming do you have educating community about TNR and the importance of that?
We don't really have a formal program, but
Okay.
I basically take the majority of the phone calls that come into the center. My number is all over
Okay.
our social media. If people call me, I basically do the best that I can to give them their options as far as managing the feral cat population. And mobile home parks are a mecca, and the ACOs
They
can
really
probably speak
are.
more to that than I can, but cats, because those trailers have skirting generally, they're really great for shelter and protection for these cats. And so they're everywhere in these parks. And if there was a way to go in and just trap that park out and get those cats sterilized, that would go a long way to helping solve some of these issues, because a lot of the kittens that end up at our place, and I know at the shelter and other rescues, are the offspring of these cats.
Yes.
And these cats can have up to 4 litters a year.
Yes, I know.
And they start reproducing at a very young age, so things get crazy very, very quickly. So-
Exactly, and that's what I've told her, and she's very interested in, training up her residents and making sure that people are aware that there's these service providers out there that can help sort of mitigate that issue. So again, thank you so much for the work that you do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Michelle. We really appreciate you and your ongoing work. Yes, I agree. I applaud. Yeah, thank you. Next up, we'll hear from city and county ACOs. You all decide who gets to go first, I think. I can see there's some discussion happening. Okay, our county ACS, please come on up, Brian. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and the rest of the board. My name is Brian Halsey. I'm the caseworker for Doñana County Animal Control, here to give you the December report. If I can bring this up. There it goes. Okay. So for Doñana County, we had 226 reported stray animals. Out of those 226 reported strays, we were able to pick up 157 stray animals. It ended up being 73 stray cats and 84 stray dogs. They were almost pretty close even this in December, which is odd for us. We had 8 sick or injured animals that were picked up. 3 of them were cats and 5 were dogs. And as our trend for December, due to Christmas and the holidays, we had an above average number of owner surrendered animals. We had 1 cat and 19 dogs. So this is our reported stray animal call 4-year comparison for everyone to see. As you can see, for 2022, wasn't really as active as we were in like 2019, but we still had some pretty high numbers. This is our 4-year field return to owner comparison chart. This is dogs or cats that we were able to pick up, find microchips, or find the owners and return them in the field so they didn't have to go to the shelter. We had 22 for December. These are additional animals picked up. So again, we had 1 owner surrendered cat, and it was for attacking livestock. We had an owner surrendered, 19 owner surrendered dogs, 8 sick and injured. We had 2 welfare hold, and again, that's for if a sheriff deputy or border patrol or anybody ends up stopping someone and they have animals in their unit or in the car and they're going to seize the car and the person, then we come and pick up the animals as a welfare hold. We had no neglect or cruelty cases. We had 6 shelter quarantines. We had 0 home quarantines. We currently have 6 animals in our live evidence facility. We had 1 rabies submission, which turned to be negative for rabies. And then we added a new slide for the board. We've been doing this since I was an officer, but we just now this month started to track them. We had 39 diverted intakes, so that way we had 39 animals or people that we were able to give extra resources to, where we didn't have to end up picking up the animal and taking them to their shelter. These are our districts. And these are our stray animals picked up by district. In District 1, we had 2 dogs. In District 2, we had 9 cats and 15 dogs. District 3, we had 7 cats and 25 dogs. In District 4 was our hot district again. We had people starting to capture and trap cats again in that area, so our number went up pretty high for cats being caught. So we had 44 cats and 21 dogs. In District 5, we had 10 cats and 12 dogs. District 6 was pretty quiet for us in December. We only had 1 cat. And District 7, we had 2 cats and 9 dogs, which was pretty slow for District 7 as well. So these are our stray cats by district. Again, you can see that District 4 usually has the biggest uptick for trapping cats. That seems to be our trouble area for all the feral cats. These are our stray dogs. And these are our reasons for release of ownership. So we had 2 where the people were unable to care for the animals. We had 6 dogs come from wrong property because they had way too many dogs, and even with a multi-site permit, they were still way over their dog limit. So they ended up giving up 6. We had 8 that were either vicious for attacking animals, people, or livestock for 8. And just for that one as a note as well, I believe 4 of those dogs were the dogs attacking their own livestock, the same owner's livestock, so they just got rid of their dogs. We had 2 sick or injured, 1 aggressive, and 1 was abandoned at a rental property. And for that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions from the board? Board Member Ward, please.
I have a comment. It's not a question. I just wanted to add it. I'm not sure at what board meeting or if somebody asked. It might have been Commissioner Ellens at the time in regards to the educational outreach that the county animal control officers were doing at the time. And I had asked Brian Holsey to compile those stats. They weren't put in the report, but I did want to let the board know, as of last year anyways, the officers did put out 2,994 educational outreach. That didn't include any kind of community sweeps or anything like that. That was just the times that they were at someone's house, talking to them, reaching out to them to educate them on whether it was a cat incident or a dog incident, whatever that may be. But 2,994 times that they reached out to them. That superseded the amount of times that they actually went out for calls for service, because they might have initiated something where they saw something, or maybe we had calls in the office, something like that. So I did want to add that.
That's great, thank you. And thank you for sharing. Any other questions from the board? Seeing none, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Gino Jimenez. I am the Animal Control Supervisor for the city, and I will present to you our December 22 numbers. Oh, if I can get it started. Here we go. So for the month of December, we responded to 394 stray calls. 223 of those were GOA, meaning the officer did not make contact with that animal. We were able to apprehend 171 animals. Of those, 108 were dogs and 29 were cats that were impounded at the Animal Services Center. We were successful in field RTOing 34 dogs, and those were animals, I should say. Those are animals that never crossed the threshold of the Animal Service Center. So it helped to reduce the number of animals being housed there. We were unsuccessful in field RTOing 17. Those were animals that had some sort of identification, however, for unknown reasons, or reasons that I'll come up with in my slides later on, why they were impounded. So that gave us a total of 51 identifiable animals. Next is our 3-year stray comparison. So you can see for the month of December, we had 394, bringing us to a total of 5,691 calls for stray animals for the year. Looking at the chart, it's pretty, we keep within that trend. If we look at charts from the past, I believe it's all going to be about the same. Our hot months, March through September, are really active, and then October, November, December, January, we kind of slow down a little bit. Here is our 3-year field RTO comparison. Again, we were able to field RTO 34 dogs, bringing our total to 491 for the year. Here's our community cat program graph. For the month of December, we responded to 27 cats in trap calls, and we were able to release 4 of those cats. So our total for the year for calls was 556, and we were able to release 102. Reasons for owner releasing animals, we had 3 for aggression, 3 dogs for aggression, 1 dog for sick and old, 1 the owner no longer wanted it because it kept escaping, 1 dog for behavioral issues, and 1 cat for sick or old. Here are our reasons for not being able to fill the RTO. Again, 13, there was no contact by phone or at the residence. 1 was an Arizona address, 1 was a county address, and 1 was an Alto, New Mexico address. 1 owner we were able to contact, and they claimed that they were out of town. 1, it was a wrong number, and there still was no contact at the residence. 1, the owner claimed to have released it to the Animal Service Center, so that tells us that that chip was not updated with the new owner's information. And the last one was the owner claimed to have given it away and didn't have information as to who they gave it to. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Any questions from the board? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Next up are the shelter statistics, please. Director Thacker, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. ASCMV Board, thank you for being here today. We'll talk to you about our December numbers. And I apologize the jacket, but it's kind of chilly in here. I'm going to take it off. So the current number now at the center, 365 is the current count. So 329 dogs, 36 cats, and luckily we have no others, which are usually guinea pigs. So glad that they are all in happy homes. Our December intake numbers in 2022 for December, 414 dogs came in, 231 cats, 9 others. For that grand total of 654 is the highest we've been since 2019. And this is how the animals came into the center. This is a relatively new slide that we added. So you can see that over half of our animals came in by strays, by animal control officers, which means they're doing a great job. One that's surprising to me, as always, is the owner surrender and how high that is. The almost 17% of our total intake was owner surrenders. So we continue to battle that fight, and we can go over that a little bit later. We had a total of 8 animals returned. Most of them, almost all of them, were dogs. So the biggest one being the landlord doesn't allow, and some lifetime changes, behavior issues, etc. We had 258 diverted intakes. What these are when somebody comes to the center, they usually it's a stray animal that they find, or it could be an owned animal, and we ask, can you hold on to that animal a little bit longer, walk around your neighborhood, see if somebody takes it, and if they say yes, then that's a diverted intake. So just any intake that comes in and we divert it away from the center, we count as a diverted intake. Here's our outcomes. We ended with a 78.7% live release rate, and that's the number of animals that left the center alive out of our December numbers. Our biggest percentage of the way they left is through adoptions. We had 222, and the next being the rescued at 27.4%. So almost that 79%, even though we had more animals come in the center, or our highest intake in December. Since 2020 or 2019, we still are right there with last year, or in that 79% percentile. If you remember, live release rate, the goal we want to hit is always 90%. That's what qualifies us as a no-kill facility. That's the number we always strive for. So in 2020, we did hit that at 90.1%. However, 2020 is when we had an incredibly limited intake because of COVID, and we were able to reach that. Transfers continue. This is our rescues, in other words, continue to be an incredible way we get number of animals out, both dogs and cats. 179, and this is where they went. So we, again, Action Program for Animals did a fantastic job taking their local rescue, and we sure appreciate all that they do for taking animals from us. Usually they take the medical issue ones, so that lowers our euthanasia rate, which also helps increase our live release rate, but in bottom line, it saves lives, and that's what we like to see. Some of our outside ones, the out-of-state Halo Animal Rescue is always a big one. They are back up and going and want to work with us, and others that are out of state too continue to work. Animal Rescue League El Paso is a great one too. These are euthanasia reasons for December. The number one for cats is behavior feral. Because of the change in the county ordinance, we are having to euthanize the number of feral cats. That is because of the 2-mile limit within the Rio Grande. So being able to relocate a cat is not, you don't just go and drop it off somewhere else. That is certain death for an animal. So it takes months to relocate a cat, and it's just resources we currently do not have. So the best resource that we have currently for a feral cat that's within that 2-mile limit is euthanasia, best for the cat and for us. The number one reason for a dog is aggressive. You know, they're in that facility, they're assaulted on all fronts by their senses, sight, smell, etc. So the aggressive does come out on them, and on those, we just can't hold on to them. Again, we don't have the resources to work with them on a one-on-one basis. So this is, I know this looks really confusing, but there's 4 categories: TNR, adoptions, shelter, and other, and each line is a month in those categories. So the one we're looking at is the one that has a number on top. That's the 12th month, or December. And so they did 87 trap, neuter, return. They did 127 adoption surgeries, 68 shelter or foster, and then 75 other. Other can be anything that needs to happen. Whether it be a broken leg or an amputation or stitches or fixing, just anything that is an other there. So year to date, they did 4,474. So they met their goal. The goal for that Dr. Haddon has for them is 4,000 surgeries in a year. So they overcame that, did a fantastic job. Our visitors, pretty steady at 1,623. This is December appointment or adoptions by appointment. I think this is going to be the last time we have this slide starting in 2023. When we report January numbers, you will not see this slide in there, just because I think that we prove a point by saying that adoptions are the best way to do adoptions there. So 62% of the appointments that were made ended in adoptions. Whereas the next slide, you look at the walk-ins, we had total number of groups is 360, and it resulted in 102 adoptions, which was only 28%. So, but regardless, we're still doing well on adoptions. Our volunteers continue to be a huge source, a powerful source in getting animals out. I know just a couple weeks ago, they were able to get every animal in our adoptable area walked. So a total of 395 hours in December. Website page views, 36,197. As you can see there, pretty consistent. Facebook views continue to be pretty high, 10,714. We get a lot of traction on several things that happened in December. A lot of activities, adoption. You know, we had the Home for the Holidays. We had our foster program as well that have a big presence on Facebook. Some of our upcoming events. We have Super Sunday Road Race, so a fun race we're going to be doing on the 5th. NMSU basketball game, we're going to have an information booth there so people can ask questions about our facility, about what we do. We'll be there and answer questions. Our drive-through vaccine clinic, this is the one we had to cancel, is scheduled for February 19th. And then the kitten baby shower, a fun event for our foster program, is February the 25th. And there's Angel and Queen Catherine, our pets of the week. I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Clint. Any questions from the board? No? Seeing none, thank you again, Clint, for sharing and giving us an up-to-date sort of picture. Next up are committee reports. I'm going to take a little bit of chair's privilege and ask that the executive committee go first, or say that the executive committee is going to go first, in part because I realized that I neglected to invite our two new board members to sort of introduce yourselves and share who you are. So if I can take a bit of chair's privilege, I'll do that and then give the executive report and then turn it over to finance and facilities. So first off, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, please.
I am Christopher Challenger Hernandez, and I am the newly elected County Commissioner for District 1 for Doniana, which is Picacho Hills all the way down to Barreno, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and we're glad you're here. And Board Member De Leon, please.
Good morning, and thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. Barbara De Leon, I am the Chief Administrative Officer for the city. I very much appreciate the opportunity to serve on this board. I've been with the city for almost a lucky 13 years in a variety of positions looking at operations and financial performance for the organization. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, really quickly to the executive committee. We did meet earlier this month, and on, I think, around January 3rd in the morning. So thank you, Clint, for meeting with me. We discussed the upcoming agenda, the need to have the elections, which we'll be having shortly, of new officers, and also a number of other sort of things to follow up on, including the sort of evaluation of the director, as well as upcoming budget sort of planning very lightly. And so I don't know if you want to add anything, Clint. Then I will turn it over to Board Member De Leon for the Finance Committee report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Finance Committee met last Thursday, the 19th, and we heard the preliminary report from the very capable Josh Saffel, who's coming to the podium right now to provide you with the information for our December financials. So I'll turn it over to Josh.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Josh Saffel, and on behalf of the Finance Department of the City of Las Cruces, I'd like to present the unaudited financials as of December 31st, 2022. So to start with, we're looking at our statement of net positions. In the general fund, we had cash of $658,879, receivables of $265,636, giving us total assets of $924,515. We had liabilities of $114,808, revenue collected in advance of $249,280, and this left us with an unassigned fund balance of $560,427. Moving on to our change in net position, we see for the period total revenues of $2,145,190 and total expenditures of $1,875,937. And after a transfer out of $10,500, we see a net change to fund balance of positive $258,753. Looking at our budget to actual change in net position, the total revenues of $2.1 million were 51.7% of budget, and the total expenditures of $1.8 million were 43.8% of budget. So of course our budget parameter was 50%, so our revenues were a little over, which is good, and our expenditures were under, which is also very good. Looking at our graph for revenues versus expenditures by month, we see the expenditures were well over the revenue. The increase in expenditures is explained by a larger increase in the capital outlay. There was a purchase of capital, and that's basically why we see that jump in expenditures for that period. Looking at our percent of total expenditures, our total expenditures were $1,875,937. Of that, 52% was salary, 18% were benefits, 15% was 15% was services, 6.1% was capital, 2% was insurance, 5% was supplies, 1% was other, 1% was temporary services, and 0.4% was repair and maintenance. And that will conclude my presentation, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Board Member Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Saffel, I just had a couple questions, and it's just around, the budget parameter is going to be 50% since we're midway through the year, and just, I was just curious, particularly on the expenditure piece of it, and why we were so low on, really on the supplies as well as services. And I don't know if, while that's always good to be below, I didn't know, is it either an overestimation? Are we just not having those expenditures as we originally planned, or are we going to have some big expenditures that are going to hit us within those two areas, the supplies and services?
Those are good questions. I might turn to the department for their input.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for the question, Commissioner Sanchez. Yes, we have been watching our purchases on supplies very carefully because we knew that we have a new center that we need to equip. We have made some major purchases on that are going to be hitting that supply line, so that will be coming up.
Okay, and I think like on the services piece, I think we're almost about $200,000 under what we thought, at least on the budget parameter, 50%. So we budgeted $902,000. We're at $275,000. I said, is there anything that we were anticipating there, or anticipate that is coming in the next half year, or is this?
Services is a wide array of things, so I don't know especially if there's one specific or several, but we can look into that and let you know.
Okay, yeah, and I think, like I said, I think if we're under, and I mean, like I said, I know you're watching very closely, particularly, I know we've had the delay of the opening of the new building and the new center, but we'll just kind of get an idea of, is that going to be an area that we will potentially be under, or if we're planning on something. So, like I said, and you don't have to answer. Like I said, if you can just get me that information, I'd just be.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into it. I can tell you that, I mean, we're going to be moving money around. Because the purchases are significant, but probably coming out of the services into supplies, et cetera. But we'll look at it and let you know.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly, and I think that's where I was going to go with the thing, because I think as we start to identify and we move into the new building, obviously you're going to find little things here and there that you're going to realize that, oh man, we might have missed this, or we need this, or the price has increased, and so this gives us that. Hopefully, this gives us that little bit of cushion to be able to go into for that without having to make major changes. So, yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Josh, for Board Member De Leon? No?
Not for me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Josh. We appreciate you. Next up, facilities, please. Board Member Gandra.
We didn't meet this month. I don't know if Clint has an update on that, but I will defer to him. I promise I'll get back on track.
Not sure if you wanted to share any facility-related updates, Clint, but thank you.
Facility is looking fantastic. How about that for an update? We have a big, beautiful building that is about 97% completed. There are a lot of small items in that center that are still not completed. Some places we don't have doors. Sometimes we have a door but not a window on the door. Some places the stucco's not finished. I mean, it's just so many little things that their contractors, that they're having a hard time getting their subcontractors out to finish just those little things. However, it's not an overwhelming issue because we still can't inhabit the building. We have no cat kennels, nor do we have any dog kennels. So hopefully, they're saying mid to end of March is when they're saying to have those items in. So we're hoping for that. As far as the existing center, we are holding off on doing any major fixes. I mean, we had a door that got caught by the wind, so the arm got bent, so we're replacing that. That was just last week. We have just small things here and there, but we don't want to invest a lot of money into it because we are looking to remodel substantially once we get word, hopefully we get word that we were awarded some of that legislative money so we can get things started. That's what we're hoping for. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm not sure, Board Member De Leon, do you have an update as well? Please.
I do. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I appreciate Mr. Thacker reminding me that at the Finance Committee meeting, we had a discussion about the financial reports that are provided to the board monthly. There had been a proposal by the Finance Department to provide those reports quarterly because not much changes on a month-to-month basis, but they're certainly very meaningful on a quarterly basis. So just wanted to raise that as a potential for discussion for the board to make that determination or to determine to continue as we are currently doing.
Thank you. I would say that I think quarterly would be fine to have that conversation, but to defer to my fellow board members if there are some concerns or things that you would add to that conversation.
Madam Chair, I think I'd agree. I think the only time that we might deviate from that is if there's something significant within the finances, but otherwise I'd agree with that assessment.
Any other sort of inputs or considerations? And my understanding is you all would still be meeting and having those conversations, just that the presentation would only come to the board once every 3 months.
Madam Chair, I think that's wise, and I agree with Board Member Sanchez. If there is something of concern, we will certainly present that to you at the committee report, but otherwise the formal financial statements would just be provided quarterly. And Clint and Josh, please correct me if I'm wrong in that. Yes, correct.
Thank you, and thank you for that recommendation. Board Member Gandara, go ahead.
I'm okay with that. I think that's probably much more feasible for the finance department to put everything together and present. I wonder if, I don't know what that major thing would be. We're running out of money. I mean, if there's maybe some headers that we can suggest that these are the events that we would need them to come back into the board, to present to the board. And I don't know, Madam Chair, if you want to speak at your executive level about what those are and then come back and present those to us. But
okay.
I think that in the event these three things happen, they will come monthly to us or alert us in some way.
And I would imagine you're sort of, go ahead, Board Member De Leon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, and I wanted to note, of course, we will be looking at the guides that we have for expenditures on a monthly basis. If we see significant deviations, that's something that we would bring forward. But also, as Mr. Thacker mentioned earlier, as we see preparation for the new facility coming up to speed, and that's something that we understand. It's not a concern. We may mention that, but again, we're going to be looking for the kind of standard parameters that we measure our expenditures by, but very much welcome guidance from the board as far as the certain particular things to be keeping an eye on.
Thank you.
I also want to remind the board that the city is going into a budget retreat in February. I think this meeting happens after that budget retreat. So, Clint, if you have anything you think that the board needs to be aware of, specific city council members, we need to be aware of that so that we can advocate for that at budget retreat.
Thank you. I believe, if I remember right, Leanne Demuch with the budget was saying that the retreat is in like the first part of March, because I told her that we are going to be presenting the budget to the board in February. So it's, okay. So if I'll talk to her about the retreat and we'll for sure get something together. If we need to do a workshop or a special board meetings, you can have the information for the budget, because we do have some like new position that we're requesting. We have salary increase possibly for the staff, or like a COLA, cost of living adjustment, things like that I think the board should be aware of before we go into any major, before we present the budget in a formal manner. You should be aware of. So I'll work with her on those dates.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board Member De Leon and then Board Member Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the retreat will actually be in February. It'll be a 2-day retreat, but I just wanted to make note that we also have 2 work sessions scheduled on the budget, one for March and one for April as well, in addition to the May meeting where we typically adopt the budget. So we definitely will make time at the work sessions to give an update on how the JPA budgets are looking. At the retreat itself, we are allowing some time for some key city departments to give a more in-depth information about their budget proposals as well, but we have the additional work session scheduled where we'd be able to discuss JPA budgets.
Thank you. And I would say, I think, sort of to Clint's idea of giving some precursors, I think it would be great for the board to see a preliminary sort of sense of, any added staff or big changes that you might be considering. I think that's important to bring here also, to sort of make sure that those conversations are happening everywhere and that we have all the information. And if there are any data points that we feel like would add to that conversation, we can sort of put that out there and request it from you all as you go through it. Please, Board Member Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think all this discussion is very important. I think also on the county side, one of the things that hopefully I'm not speaking too far ahead, but I believe Commissioner Shaljo Hernandez and I, or he would agree with me, that we've already been talking with the county manager that we are wanting to have these discussions on the county level as well, looking at developing our budget and having more input similar to what the city has been doing. And so, Clint, that'll be kind of having an idea whether you have something for us. I don't know the structure yet. We're still working that out. But if we can start looking at that and what your needs are, then that way we can, the county commission can start looking at those requests. And we can start looking to see what we can do going into the next fiscal year.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just so you know where we're at in our budget prep. So level 3 is where the director enters in the recommended, the big items or increase to the budget. And that's where we currently are. I have a meeting on February 1st with the city representative to go over those level 3 asks. So once those are completed and in, then it's as early as February 1st, then I'll be able to get a work session together with the board. So the budget is, I don't want you to think that we're not working on it. Yeah, we're definitely in the process of.
Yep. And I think it'll just, once we have a better idea, we'll communicate with you, Clint, just so that way you're aware of kind of what we're looking for and when we'd be looking to have your input as well. But just want to let you know as well that that's something we're trying to push for on the county side, to be able to have that input before the preliminary budget is proposed in the end or to the commission for approval. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the board? All right, Clint. Next up, we have a discussion item related to the MOU with Doña Ana County Humane Society, who we heard from, I think, last month at our meeting.
Yes, Madam Chair. So the MOU you have before you is more or less the we decided to do an MOU while talking with them because we do so much with the Doñana County Humane Society that it was brought up by them. It says, why don't we have an MOU to show that we're working together? I think that'll protect or that would assist both of you. And we agreed on that. So we sent it to our attorney, and he was in agreement with it, checked it off, sent it to them. They signed it and sent it back to me. Now, if you recall, several years ago, when we were redoing the contracts with some of the outlying cities, the board did give me approval to sign MOUs with other government entities or other entities. But I wanted to bring this to you just so you were aware that we had an MOU together and working with the Doñana County Humane Society.
All right, thank you. And again, my understanding is that this, as an MOU, is not something that we would officially approve. But I think that this is just in an effort to sort of make it transparent and make sure that we all know what's happening in terms of. All right. Thank you very much. Any questions, discussion, concerns? All right. Hearing none. Next up, in terms of action, we're needing to elect officers again to sort of take for February to start the ground running as a new slate of officers. And tradition has been that we've shifted between the city and the county on an annual basis. And I think that there is general consensus that that's the plan this year again. Okay, I see heads nodding. Given that we have 2 positions, chair and vice chair, and then we also will follow up with committee member appointments. So I would entertain a motion for the next chair of the ASCMV board. I think I do it by entertaining a motion or a self-nomination.
I nominate Board Member Manny Sanchez for chair.
Board Member Sanchez has been nominated for chair. Is there a second of this nomination?
Second.
Okay.
Board Member Sanchez, do you accept this nomination?
I do, yes.
Okay. Then are there any other nominations? Hearing none, Becky, if we can please vote for the chair. Board Member Sanchez.
Board Member Ward.
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Board Member Gondara.
Yes.
Board Member Hernandez.
Yes.
Chair Caron.
Yes. Do I just hand it over right now to you? No, I'm just kidding. I'll go through to the end. All right, I think that we also need to elect a vice chair, which has historically been switched, again, complementary county-city folks in those 2 positions. So I would entertain any motions for.
Would it be completely inappropriate if I nominated Yvonne?
Yes.
Councilor Flores? No, she's not here. I'm worried about her, actually. I've put out some feelers, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
I'll put my name out there, I guess.
Okay.
I'll second the nomination.
There's a move and second for Board Member Gandara to be vice chair, and a second from Board Member Sanchez. Any other nominations? Thank you, Board Member Gandara. All right, hearing no other nominations, please, for vice chair.
Board Member Ward.
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Board Member Gondara.
Yes.
Board Member Hernandez.
Yes.
Chair Caron.
Yes. Thank you very much. And then to the committee member appointments, this is something that we sort of, I think, have the discretion to do. I recommend that we sort of follow in the tradition that we have going, which is the finance sort of does stay with Board Member De Leon, just because she also works really closely with budgeting and finance, the fiscal agents of the city. Unless there's any input from the board contrary to that. The executive committee is typically chaired by the chair. So, Board Member Sanchez, are you All right, thank you. And then the Facilities Committee, I'm not sure if Board Member Gandara, you'd like to stay chair, if someone else would like to stay in there. You're okay with representing on the facilities? Okay.
Madam Chair?
Oh, go ahead, please.
It's me, sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to note that the bylaws do state that the city ex officio member is the one that's over the finance committee, and then the ex officio member is over the facility. Now, in years past, it's been whoever the board wants to do. And I love working with Councilor Gandara, so if I don't have any problem working with her, and I'd love to. But the bylaws state that, and so I'll go either way. I'm good.
Okay, I think to keep sort of separate voices, Board Member De Leon, I would support Board Member Gandara sort of staying in that position, just because I think it's good to have different folks having conversations along the way, if that's okay with you all. Okay. Sure. Thank you. Then the committee sort of leadership is established. Thank you for stepping up, those of you who have. Next up is public
Point of clarification, Madam Chair.
Sorry.
On the executive, is it both the chair and vice chair that need to attend those meetings, or?
Usually, yes, it is the chair and
typically?
vice chair, but
Okay.
for the last year, the vice chair hasn't really been in attendance, but yes,
Okay.
the vice chair is part of that. And we've been having those meetings via Zoom, so.
Okay.
In addition to that, it's also the past president who's a member of the executive committee as well.
Yes, that's
You're
true.
not off the hook
Okay.
yet.
All right, then, yes. Thank you for clarifying that.
And Madam Chair, do we have to have a motion to ratify those committee assignments?
I think there are appointments which it may or may not need us to vote, but if, I would say let's vote on this slate, which is Finance, Barbara De Leon, Executive, Manny Sanchez, and Facilities, Cassandra Gandara. If that's okay, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair.
Oh, go ahead.
I so apologize for interrupting, but I noticed that for the Finance Committee, it says it will consist of one non-voting representative from either the city or the county, that would be myself, and one voting member of the board. And so I wanted to clarify whether there was an additional appointment that I missed.
It would be one of the members. So we have you as the chair, as the ex officio member, and then you have a county member and a chair, or a county and a city member on each committee, is how I read it.
And I don't recall, sorry, Madam Chair, to jump in. I don't recall if Commissioner Allens had been previously on the Finance Committee. Okay. So
It was actually appointed by Mr. Macias that Mr. Macias, Jonathan Macias, be on it because he was on the invites. And then also Yvonne Flores was from the city and she was on it as well.
So the language just states one non-voting member from either the city or the county and one voting member of the board. Those are just two people to the Finance Committee from the board.
And I believe it says later on for the finance or for the facility committee, it says the remaining non-voting member. Yeah, so I took that to be as the ex officio members or the non-voting members.
That's correct.
Okay.
But for finance, it just looks like we need one ex officio member, that would be me, and then one member of the board.
Which would be probably Board Member Macias?
or Councilor Flores, I believe. Unless with her not being here, do we want, I guess,
Well,
without either of them
neither
being
of them
here?
are here.
I think it'd be important to have a county and a city representative on it, so probably a county.
Okay, and I think it would be, I wouldn't be opposed to having the county manager Macias and then Councilor Flores as those members on the Finance Committee as well, if there are no objections to that.
But my understanding is it's actually not County Manager Macias, it's Assistant County Manager.
Correct.
Macias, different. one who also serves as an ex officio, or is designated as an ex officio, I think. So Board Member Flores would be the voting member. And so maintaining those two, neither of whom are here to consent on the board, on the Finance Committee, rather.
I hear them yelling yes from a distance.
Okay. Okay. Does that have a, so that, does that sound like that fills in the Finance Committee-ish? Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, just for clarification, we have the chair is Ms. De Leon, and then the county is Jonathan Macias, and the city is Yvonne Flores. Is that correct?
Yes. Any other inputs or clarifications about the committee members? Okay. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to sort of appoint these as a slate of folks.
I'll move approval, Madam Chair, of those appointments.
Thank you.
Second, Gandara.
Thank you. Moved by Board Member Sanchez, seconded by Board Member Gandara. Any further discussion?
And this is just for the Finance Committee, correct?
This is for all three committees.
Okay, who else is on the Facility Committee then? I have Councilor Gondara is the chair. Who's the representative from the county?
I'd recommend that Commissioner
Chajo Hernandez.
I'm spacing. Hernandez? Shaljo? What is it? Shaljo Hernandez? And I'm sitting, I don't know what happened. I just had brain fart. I would recommend that he sit.
On the Facilities Committee? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Chris?
As a voting member? All right. And as the Facilities, okay. Admittedly,
I was thinking Ellen's, right? Sorry.
no, you're good. And admittedly, we've been struggling with the committee attendance over the last year, so I think that it's helpful to reaffirm this and make sure that we know who's there. Board Member Sanchez, please. Were you going to say something? Oh, no, you're ready to vote.
No, I just didn't know if we have to now retry. Do we have to remove the motion, or is the motion still acceptable?
I would say that the motion is still acceptable.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. We're good on the motion? Yes, then I call the question.
Board Member Ward.
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Board Member Gondara.
Yes.
Board Member Hernandez.
Yes.
Chair Quran.
Yes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, I just want to let the board know that I will be canceling all the meetings and then resending with new committee members. Okay, so don't be alarmed if you get a cancellation, but we'll do it at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is public input. I will start on my left. Hearing any? Jerry's shaking her head. Any other public input? Tina, Michelle? No? Seeing none on the left, seeing only staff on my right, then that ends public input. Chair and board comments. I'll start at the far end. Board Member De Leon, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No comments from me other than, again, to just express my gratitude for the opportunity to serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Board Member Ward, please. No comments. Board Member Sanchez? Just
Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to our new board members. And it's definitely been an exciting meeting so far, so thank you all. We'll look forward to February.
Board Member Gandara?
Happy New Year, and I look forward to the coming year. Getting into our new facility. That's so exciting. Yes. Thank you, Board Member, Chair.
Board Member Chajo Hernandez, please.
Thank you for a riveting meeting. It's great to be here and learn and kind of go over the documents, and excited to serve.
Thank you. I feel the same. We're really glad to have you all with us, and I think it will be a great year. Did you have something to say?
I'm sorry, yes,
No,
I
no,
do.
please.
Bernice and I were comparing notes, and we have Mary Lou Ward as being on the Facilities Committee. Is that because she's as an ex officio member? Is that okay? Is that what you want?
To
Okay.
me, yes, and I feel like ex officio members who are, apart from the non-voting members, I think that's kind of a different sort of role, but that sounds
right.
inclusive and good.
Okay,
so
thank you.
All right. Any other comments for the good of the order? And if not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Sanchez.
Second, Gandara.
Seconded by Board Member Gandra. Please, thank you.
Board Member Ward?
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Board Member Gondara?
Yes.
Board Member Hernandez?
Yes.
Chair Karan?
Yes.